People ask me, where are the dwarves on your world? That's a good question, and the focus on today's midweek Mayhem episode. Quick note, if you like actual play D&D delivered in a story format from one of the oldest game worlds, that's what I do. I put a new episode out every Monday. Please like and subscribe. Let's roll the show. In the year 96, the dwarvish people wandered the world of Mper without a homeland. The dwarven king, Thomin Ironbeard, and a warband of 30 dwarves had traveled to Desirata to demand a return of some recently recovered dwarven items. He waited for his audience with Queen Deborah by drinking at the bar called the Shrinking Violet. Thomin railed at waiting and was only kept from destroying the bar by the fact that it was owned by a dwarf named Agla. After a week of waiting, the nerves of the dwarves were on edge, and the supply of black beer was almost exhausted. An outcomelander dwarf by the name of Dries suggested, in jest, that they force their way in to see the queen. If the young dwarf had known that Thomin had never fully recovered from a bout of warrior's madness he picked up as a child, Dries would have held his tongue. But he didn't. The king of the dwarves slung his armor on and sharpened his blade despite his companions' pleas. Ironbeard decided that his men were cowards, and he called them that, and he built them into such a rage that soon they longed to see blood as well. The horde burst from the tavern and made its way up Merchant's Run, scattering shopkeepers as it went. Constables who tried to stop the dwarves were butchered where they stood. The commandant of the cadet school mustered his charges in order to block the way to the castle. Facing seasoned dwarven warriors, a bloody swath was cut through the cadets, and still Thomin moved on. It was at the crossroads of Temple Street and Ministry Run where the dwarves encountered their next obstacle. It was the queen's father, the former consort to the throne. His name was Christopher Raydeer. As usual, Raydeer was decked out in lace and makeup and perfume, and way too many frills. He was finishing a glass of wine, handed it to his servants, just as the dwarves came round the corner. With Christopher Raydeer was a bevy of what looked like Manthusian ladies of the evening. The dwarves barely slowed down when Lord Christopher ordered them to hold. They were a couple of yards away when the Manthusians threw aside their finery and took aim with pistols. They fired a volley into the dwarves. Without stopping, they stepped forward and fired a second volley into the warband. Staggering forward, the followers of Thomin were soon amongst them. In hand-to-hand combat, the Manthusians were no match for the sturdy dwarves, but the blasts from the pistols were enough to thin their ranks, and in a few minutes, all the dwarves were dead. Not hearing the whole story, Thomin's brother, Thor, led the dwarven army into the Glass Hills on the border of Desirata. The forces of Desirata, led by Queen Deborah I, sent messengers to parley with Ironbeard, but they were all rejected. The Desiratans moved forth into battle, but before they could charge, the ground split open and demon spawn issued out onto the field. The Queen of Desirata turned her forces to face the real foe and charged the demon things. In moments, the dwarves were at the Desiratan side, killing pit creatures. At the end, after they'd won the battle, The dwarves were impressed with the Deserodans and the audacity of their young queen. Thor Ironbeard swore great oaths of peace with the Deserodans and Deborah. She gave them the lands at the foot of the Glass Mountains, and that is how the Deserodan city of Iron Tower came to be. I hope you like this story from the world of Mper. Please subscribe so you can catch up to the Mper Adventure, an actual play episode every Monday.